Hi, welcome to Santhish Study Circle. I am Santhish Kumar. Today we are going to exploring about history lesson 8th class chapter 5th Universal Franchise and India's Electoral System. Let's start by looking at the main questions we are going to answer in this chapter. Keep this in your mind as we go. First, what is universal adult franchise? Second, what is an electoral system? Third, how does India's electoral system work? Before we answer those questions, I want to share a famous quote from November 1949. It was spoken by Alladi Krishnaswamy Iyer, a leader who helped write our constitution. He said, India adopted the principle of adult franchise with an abundant faith in the common man and the ultimate success of democratic rule. Never before in the history of the world has such an experiment been so boldly undertaken. What does this mean in simple words? When India became independent, our leaders decided to trust the common man, regular, everyday people. They gave everyone power to vote. Back then, letting every single person vote in such a massive country was a very brave and brand new idea in world history. Universal adult franchise. The makers of our constitution decided that universal adult franchise would be the heart of our democratic right from the very beginning. But what does this big term actually mean? It means a very simple rule. Every adult citizen gets one vote and all votes have the exact same value. It does not matter what your caste is. It does not matter what your religion, race or gender is. It does not matter if you are very rich or very poor, or if you went a big school or no school at all. The word universal simply means it is for everyone. If you are an Indian citizen and you are 18 years old or older, you have the right to vote. This idea is the strongest pillar of Indian democracy. We use this exact same rule to elect leaders for first the Lok Sabha, the central government for all of India. Second, the legislative assembly, the government for your specific state or union territory. Third, local elections. The leaders of your village or might be city or town. This right is promised to us in Article 326 of the Constitution. Rules for voting. To be able to use your power to vote, you must be registered as a voter in your local area, which is called your constituency. But remember, there are strict rules. Rule number 1, you can never vote on someone else's behalf. You must cast your own vote. Rule number 2, a person cannot vote if they are found guilty of committing certain very serious crimes. Can you calculate how long you have to wait before you turn 18 and can vote? Here is an interesting fact. Before 1988, you had to be 21 years old to vote. India changed the minimum age for voting from 21 down to 18. Do you think this was a good move? Think about how it gave young people a voice in their country's future much earlier. The size of our elections. Do you remember that India had a huge general elections in the summer of 2024? Try to imagine this number. About 980 million voters were allowed to go and vote for the 543 seats in the Lok Sabha. Because we have nearly a billion voters, we need a very large and well-organized system to manage everything. We have to make sure every single election happens fairly and freely. As we continue this chapter, we will learn exactly how this massive system organized. Before we move to the next section, you should know just how big our democracy really is. Across India, we have more than 250,000 local government bodies running our cities and villages. Through the power of universal adult franchise, regular people have democratically elected 3.1 million representatives to lead these local bodies. And the best part, out of those 3.1 million elected leaders, 1.3 million of them are women, bridging barriers enabling participation, ensuring universal franchise. My dear children, let me ask you a big question to start this section. How do people in India actually vote? Voting is a very powerful way for people to express what they want. A democracy is only healthy and strong when every single eligible citizen can participate easily and fairly. But in a country as big as ours, how does this actually take place? Let's think about how huge India is. It is large, diverse, and very complex. To give you an idea, if you count all the people in India who are allowed to vote, that number is 15 times larger than the total population of the United Kingdom. Point number 2. And if you look at the size of the land, India is 6 times larger than the country of France. We also have what we call geographic diversity. This means we have mountains, deep forests, huge deserts, and tiny islands. This geography makes holding an election a very big challenge. So, when elections are organized in India, all of these complex problems have to be kept in mind. Who takes care of this massive job? It is done by the Election Commission of India, or the ECI for short. We will learn more details about the ECI a little later in this chapter. The main goal of the ECI is to make sure that no voter is left behind. They have come up with many new and clear ideas to remove barriers, meaning they try to fix any problems that might stop a person from voting. Here are some amazing things they do. Who? ECI. First point, election officials will actually travel to the most remote, faraway forests and mountains just so a single citizen living there can use their democratic right to vote. Point number 2, recently in the 2024 elections, they did something very special for the first time. Elderly grandpas and grandmas and people with physical disabilities were allowed to cast their votes right from their homes. There was also a postal voting option. It is called voting by even mail for certain specific group of voters. They even used technology to help people who can't see were given a special voter cards printed in braille, and there were mobile apps where people could request wheelchairs or ramps so they could easily enter the voting center. Even with all these amazing efforts, we still have a puzzle to solve. In the 2024 elections, about 34% of eligible voters did not use their right to vote. That means out of every 100 people who could vote, 34 of them stayed home. Why do you think this is so? What kind of challenges or problems do people face that stop them from exercising their voting rights? Election for class representatives, grade 8, Suryodaya School. Let's understand how elections work by looking at a simple example. Something that happens right inside a school. Keep these questions in your mind while I tell you this story, because I am going to ask you for the answers at the end. Question number 1. Why is it important to keep our votes a secret? Question number 2. What is the job of an election officer? Question number 3. What happens if you don't like any of the candidates? Let's read the story of grade 8 at Suryodaya School. It was time for the annual election of the class representative. We often call it the class rep or class monitor. What does a class rep do? They represent the class in meetings with the teachers, help organize events, and act as a bridge, a connection between the students and the school authorities. 3 students decided to contest, which means they stood for the election. Their names were Amir, Gurmeet and Ravi. To make sure the election was fair, transparent, which means open and honest, and followed all the rules, the class teacher, Miss Usha, was appointed as the election officer. Here is a brief introduction of each of the candidates. When leaders stand for election, they make promises to the voters. Here is what the grade 8 students promised. First candidate, Haimad promised to improve the cleanliness of the classrooms and the playground. Gurmeet was interested in helping all her classmates learn better. She proposed creating a system of peer coaching and mutual support. This means students helping each other study. And Ravi wanted to make more space in their class timetable for the arts curriculum. Because of the new school curriculum, he wanted more time for music, theatre and visual arts. Campaigning is how candidates tell the voters about their ideas. Look at how differently they did. Haimad put up colorful posters. Gurmeet used the school notice board and went around speaking to her classmates directly. Ravi held a lunchtime music performance to promote his idea about the arts. Meanwhile, as the election officer, Miss Usha had a very important job. She had to organize the elections and ensure it was conducted fairly. She explained the rules to the class. She made sure everyone understand how the secret ballot voting process would work. A secret ballot means no one would know who voted for whom. This ensures the process is completely private and fair, so no one feels scared or pressured. To keep it secret, she set up private voting booths in the corner of the classroom. Voting day. On election day, each student was given a ballot paper. A ballot paper is just a piece of paper with the names of the 3 candidates printed on it. The students were asked to take a pen and mark an X next to the name of the candidate they wished to vote for. Miss Usha also did something very thoughtful. She ensured that there was a special ballot paper printed in a braille for a student named Neha, who could not see. After all the students voted secretly in the booth, Miss Usha collected the folded ballots in a box and sealed it tight so no one could touch them until the counting session on the results day. After all 33 votes were cast, it was time to count. To make sure no one thought she was cheating, Miss Usha called another teacher, Miss Sahiba, from the next class to act as a witness during the counting process. When they opened the papers, they found that one of the ballot papers was not marked at all because it had no X. It was declared invalid, which means it could not be counted. Then the final results were announced. Ahmad received 8 votes, Ravi received 10 votes, Gurmeet received 12 votes. Gurmeet, with the most votes, was declared the new class representative. She gave a small speech thanking her classmates and promised to fulfill her commitments to help them study. Ahmad and Ravi showed great sportsmanship. They congratulated her and offered to support her new role. Let's explore what we just learned from this story. First point, what are the most important aspects of the election process in this case study? Point out the rules, the secret voting, the campaigning and the fair counting by an independent officer. Point number 2, why was it important to have a secret ballot? So students don't fight with each other and no one feels forced to vote for a friend just to be nice. You can vote exactly how you want without fear. Point number 3. What consideration might the students have had while exercising their choice? They probably thought about what they needed most: cleanliness, study help or fun art classes? Fourth, do you think the students have any responsibility after Gurmeet was elected as the class rep? If yes, what are they? Yes, they must support her, listen to her and help her do her job. Democracy doesn't end on voting day. Fifth question, what was the role that Miss Usha played? Why was it important? She was the election officer. She made the rules clear, kept it secret and counted honestly. Without her, the election might have been messy or unfair. Sixth, why was it important for Miss Usha to organize a braille ballot paper for NEHA? Because universal franchise means everyone gets to vote. NEHA has the exact same right to choose the class representative as everyone else. Seventh question, what would happen if many students in the class choose not to mark a preference? Those votes become invalid. If too many do that, a leader might win with just a tiny handful of votes, which doesn't really represent what the whole class wants. Don't miss out. Imagine if a student in that grade 8th class did not want to vote for any of the candidates. Maybe they didn't care about cleanliness, peer coaching, or the arts. What option would they have? In real life, some countries, including India, offer an extra option on the voting machine. It is called NOTA. NOTA stands for none of the above. None of the above. This option allows voters to officially reject all the candidates if they are not happy with any of them. Pressing NOTA doesn't change who wins the election, but it sends a very strong message to the political parties. The voters are not happy and we want a better choice next time. NOTA is a quiet but very powerful tool of democracy. What happens when nearly 1 billion people need to vote? Who has the power to organize such a massive event? And how do we make the most powerful politician follow the rules? Today we are going to find out. We have already seen the massive size and amazing diversity of India. We talked about how hard it is to organize elections across high mountains, deep forests, and crowded cities. Keeping all that in mind, who does this huge job? In this section, we will look at the different types of elections that take place in our country and a special group of people who organize and oversees them, the Election Commission of India, which we call the ECI for short. Let's take a quick trip down memory lane. India is a parliamentary democracy. At the national level, for the whole country, citizens choose representatives for the Lok Sabha. The Lok Sabha is the lower house of the parliament in New Delhi. The leaders elected to the Lok Sabha focusing on big issues that affect the entire country like the army, railways and national highways. But India is too big to be run just from Delhi. In addition to the Lok Sabha, voters also elect representatives from their local areas. It means constituencies to go to the legislative assemblies in their specific states and union territories. These state members focus primarily on regional issues like the local schools, city hospitals and the state roads. These are just two of the big elections that the ECI manages. We will see more in the letter. Do you remember what studied in grade 6? In grade 6, you read about direct elections to the Gram Panchayats, which are village councils, and urban local bodies, which manage cities and towns. Here is a very important difference you need to remember. The National Election Commission of India, ECI, does not run these village and city elections. Those local elections are managed by the state election commissions. So, thank you children for watching this video. We'll meet rest of the lesson. We'll meet in part 2. Do you have any doubt? Please comment it. Thank you for watching video. Jai Hind.